Welcome to the world of science fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Enjoy the listening. The Spark of War. The Tyrak Dominion was a galaxy-spanning empire, a ruthless, autocratic regime that controlled over 100 star systems. Its influence stretched from the far reaches of the galaxy to the very heart of the known universe, where the Tyrak throne stood as the symbol of absolute power. The Dominion was a military machine built on fear and oppression. Its society a rigid caste system that viewed any species outside their borders as inferior. The Tyrak, a towering species with obsidian-black skin and bone-like structures protruding from their faces, believed themselves to be the rightful rulers of the galaxy. King Valthar, the supreme leader of the Tyrak Dominion, epitomized their expansionist ideology. A tyrant of unmatched cruelty, he ruled with an iron fist, subjugating alien civilizations and crushing any resistance with devastating efficiency. The political structure of the Dominion was a delicate web of alliances and rivalries between the various factions that served under Valthar's rule. While most species within the Dominion were forced into submission, a few more powerful races were granted a semblance of autonomy in exchange for loyalty. However, this tenuous balance was always in danger of crumbling, and any sign of weakness or betrayal could ignite a civil war. Valthar's greatest fear was instability within his empire, so he kept a tight grip on all aspects of his rule, using terror and surveillance to maintain control. The slightest misstep, an unauthorized transmission, a whisper of rebellion, or an unexpected external threat could send ripples through his vast empire, disrupting the fragile peace that held it together. It was against this backdrop of tension and tyranny that humanity made its first, fateful contact with the Tyrak Dominion. The incident began innocuously enough. A peaceful human exploration mission, led by a crew of scientists and researchers, was dispatched to an uncharted planet on the fringes of Tyrak space. Their goal was simple: study the planet's ecosystem and collect data on its potential for future colonization. However, the human crew was unaware that the planet in question was also a covert meeting site for high-ranking Tyrak officials, an isolated location where the Dominion's most influential leaders gathered to discuss internal affairs. Unbeknownst to the humans, their exploration mission inadvertently interrupted this secret summit, their ship sensors picking up sensitive political discussions and broadcasting them back to Earth. The data, while innocently gathered, contained encrypted messages that detailed the Dominion's political maneuvers, internal power struggles, and plans to expand their control over neighboring systems. The human crew, unaware of the significance of what they had captured, unknowingly transmitted the information back to Earth. The Dominion's intelligence network intercepted the transmission, and what they found was an accidental breach of their most guarded secrets. To the Tyrak, this was no mere mistake. It was espionage, a grave insult. King Valthar, already paranoid about threats to his authority, saw this as a deliberate act of interference. How dare a lesser species like humanity infiltrate their most sacred affairs? His rage was immediate and overwhelming. His spies quickly confirmed the human involvement, and Valthar issued a stern ultimatum. Earth must submit to the Tyrak Dominion or face annihilation. The message from Valthar was simple, brutal, and unyielding. He would give humanity no chance to apologize or explain. Instead, he demanded Earth's immediate surrender. His words were clear. Humanity was nothing more than a minor inconvenience, an insignificant species unworthy of standing in the path of the Dominion's expansion. If Earth resisted, the Tyrak would obliterate them without hesitation. Back on Earth, the leaders of humanity convened to discuss the dire situation. Some advocated for submission, hoping to avoid total destruction, while others insisted on resistance. The idea of bowing to an alien empire was unacceptable to many, especially when Earth had fought so hard for its own independence. President Evelyn Hayes, a seasoned leader with a history of fighting against oppression, refused to back down. She addressed the nation, rallying humanity to its cause. To submit is to deny everything we stand for, she said, her voice filled with resolve. "We are not a race of cowards. We will fight for our freedom, for our future." The stage was set. Humanity would not bend to the Tyrak Dominion's demands. Instead, they prepared for war. The war begins, against all odds. The Tyrak Dominion wasted no time in responding to Earth's defiance. Within days of King Valthar's ultimatum, a massive fleet of Tyrak warships arrived in Earth's orbit, filling the sky with their imposing, dark silhouettes. The Dominion had underestimated humanity's resolve, but they were not about to take chances. With overwhelming force, the Tyrak warships unleashed a relentless bombardment, tearing into Earth's cities with ruthless efficiency. The first wave was an unprecedented show of power. Massive, armored drop pods filled with Tyrak ground troops descended from the ships, landing with thunderous impacts in major urban centers across the globe. The sky darkened as hundreds of ships unleashed waves of energy weapons, obliterating everything in their path. In mere hours, major cities were reduced to rubble. Iconic landmarks were destroyed, and Earth's military bases were dismantled with terrifying precision. Humanity, caught off guard by the sheer scale and speed of the invasion, felt the weight of their helplessness. The terror of the unknown gripped the people of Earth as the Tyrak forces moved swiftly across the planet. Panic spread. People fled their homes, seeking shelter wherever they could find it. Governments scrambled to respond, but it was clear Earth was facing an enemy far more powerful, technologically advanced, and ruthless than anything humanity had ever encountered. But despite the initial devastation, humanity's spirit refused to break. While the Tyrak warships hovered overhead, their troops scoured the ruins, Earth's people began to adapt. The Tyrak's reliance on advanced technology and brute force proved to be their greatest weakness. Unlike the alien invaders, humans knew their planet's terrain intimately, its forests, mountains, underground tunnels, and urban labyrinths. In the chaos of the invasion, pockets of resistance began to form. Humans who had never fought before picked up weapons and organized into guerrilla units. They retreated into the dense forests, vanishing into the underground bunkers and ruins left behind by the alien bombardment. They used the planet's harshest environments to their advantage, setting traps in forests, laying ambushes in abandoned cities, and striking quickly before disappearing back into the shadows. The Tyrak soldiers, used to fighting in more controlled environments, found themselves constantly outmaneuvered, their advanced technology failing to track the unpredictable humans. Resistance groups multiplied. Ordinary citizens, former soldiers, and tech experts came together, using anything they could find to build weapons, sabotage Tyrak supply lines, and disrupt the invaders' operations. Earth cities, once symbols of civilization, now became battlegrounds. In the heart of ruined cities, humans fought tooth and nail to keep the Tyrak from advancing, launching daring counterattacks that stunned the alien invaders. Makeshift explosives were rigged in abandoned buildings, and drones, hastily modified by tech-savvy civilians, were used to gather intelligence and launch surprise strikes against the Tyrak warships. Key moments of resistance began to emerge. In Paris, a group of citizens took down a Tyrak command post in a daring raid, capturing vital intelligence that crippled the enemy's communication network. In New York, a tech-savvy team of hackers infiltrated the Tyrak systems, causing widespread confusion among their troops. And in the forests of Canada, a guerrilla group outsmarted a Tyrak battalion by using the thick terrain to set traps, luring the soldiers into a killing zone. The Tyrak forces, accustomed to swift and decisive victories, found themselves bogged down. Their sophisticated technology and overwhelming numbers began to lose their edge as they faced an enemy that fought with unpredictability and ingenuity. What began as a seemingly one-sided war was quickly turning into a grueling stalemate. Tyrak casualties mounted, and their military, once invincible, found itself fighting a far more difficult campaign than anticipated. Frustration spread within the Tyrak ranks as their attempts to crush humanity faltered time and again. The alien empire's vast fleets, unable to break the human resistance, became increasingly spread thin. With each failed attack, the Tyrak's confidence cracked. And then a message from Earth was broadcast to the Tyrak Dominion, defiant and unyielding. "We will not surrender. This is our home, and we will fight to the last." Humanity's message was clear. Despite the devastation, despite the odds, they would not bow to the Tyrak. The war had only just begun. The ambush and capture of King Veilthar. As the war between humanity and the Tyrak Dominion raged on, the conflict began to settle into a grim stalemate. Despite the heavy casualties on both sides, the Tyrak forces had yet to break Earth's resolve. The Dominion's superior technology, overwhelming numbers, and initial victories had been slowed by humanity's ingenuity and adaptability. But now, humanity faced a new challenge: how to strike at the heart of the Tyrak Empire and break the Dominion's unshakable will to fight. In the quiet corners of Earth's military command, a bold plan began to take shape. The idea was simple, but dangerous. Capture King Veilthar, the very symbol of Tyrak oppression. His capture, humanity's leaders reasoned, could shatter the morale of his empire. If Earth could capture the king, a being once thought invincible, it would send a message that the Tyrak Dominion was not the all-powerful force it had claimed to be. But the plan was incredibly risky. The only known location of King Veilthar was a high-security stronghold on a distant moon, well within Tyrak-controlled space. It would take a small, elite strike team, one capable of infiltrating enemy territory and striking with surgical precision. The team, composed of Earth's most skilled soldiers, tacticians, and tech experts, prepared for the most dangerous mission in human history. Their plan was to use stealth, misdirection, and guerrilla tactics to infiltrate the stronghold, bypass the Tyrak defenses, and capture Veilthar alive. They would need to rely on everything at their disposal: hacked alien technology, improvised explosives, and a deep understanding of Tyrak combat strategies, gained from years of fighting the Dominion. As the team made their way to the moon, their hearts raced. The odds were stacked against them. No human had ever attempted a mission like this, and failure would mean certain death. The moon was heavily fortified, surrounded by layers of anti-aircraft defenses and armed patrols. The Tyrak forces guarding the stronghold were fierce, battle-hardened, and prepared for any intrusion. Yet the team pressed on, their resolve unwavering. The soldiers knew that the future of humanity hung in the balance. The first phase of the plan was a quiet infiltration. Using cloaking devices and hacked Tyrak communication systems, the team disabled security systems and silently neutralized guards. The moon's treacherous terrain, once a potential disadvantage, was now an asset. The team moved swiftly and unseen through caves and abandoned mining tunnels, carefully avoiding detection as they got closer to their target. As they reached the inner sanctum of the Tyrak stronghold, the tension became palpable. Every step forward brought them closer to Veilthar's personal chambers, but also deeper into enemy territory. Just as they reached the heart of the stronghold, the Tyrak forces discovered their presence. The strike team was forced to fight their way through increasingly heavy resistance. The soldiers used everything they could: hacked Tyrak weaponry, high-tech grenades, and their own hand-to-hand combat skills to break through the defenses. In the final moments, the strike team cornered King Veilthar, who had been hiding in a heavily fortified chamber, surrounded by his most loyal guards. The battle that ensued was a brutal one, but it was clear the Tyrak King was taken completely by surprise. He had expected nothing less than total domination over humanity, but what he had not counted on was the sheer resourcefulness and tenacity of Earth soldiers. Despite his strength and power, Veilthar was captured alive, stunned by the unexpected turn of events. The king, once the symbol of invincibility, was now in the hands of the very species he had sought to annihilate. Back on Earth, the question arose: what should be done with Veilthar? His capture was a tremendous victory, but executing him seemed too simple, too predictable. Instead, Earth's leaders, understanding the magnitude of the moment, decided on a far more humiliating punishment. They would drag King Veilthar through the streets of Earth's capital, a spectacle of human triumph. The streets would be lined with citizens, cheering and jeering at the once feared king, while the whole galaxy watched in real time. This public humiliation would send a clear message. The Tyrak Dominion, despite its vast empire and ruthless leader, had been brought low by the very species it had underestimated. King Veilthar, reduced to a prisoner, was paraded through Earth's capital in a display of human defiance. The galaxy, once terrified of the Tyrak, now watched in awe as the mighty king was dragged through the streets, unable to escape his fate. This was no mere defeat. It was a statement of humanity's resilience, a symbol of their refusal to bow to tyranny. Veilthar, once so powerful, was now a broken figure, a prisoner of the very people he had sought to destroy. The Galactic Rebellion, the sight of King Veilthar, once an imposing figure feared across the galaxy, being dragged through the streets of Earth's capital, was a moment that would be forever etched in the history of the universe. The streets were packed with people, men, women, children, all standing together in a defiant display of unity. They had fought against Veilthar's tyranny, and now they were witnessing his fall, not as a conquered enemy, but as a broken king, reduced to a mere prisoner. The procession was slow and deliberate, as if to make every moment count. The once mighty ruler, who had commanded fleets of ships and legions of soldiers, was now a powerless figure, bound and humiliated before the very people he had sought to annihilate. The citizens of Earth lined the streets, chanting, waving flags, and jeering as Veilthar was paraded through the city. They celebrated not just his capture, but the very idea that a species thought to be insignificant had stood up to a galactic empire and won. As the procession moved, Veilthar's eyes scanned the crowd. Faces that reflected the pain of war, but also the unyielding strength of those who had resisted him. The mothers whose children had died in bombed cities, the soldiers who had lost everything, the civilians who had turned into guerrilla fighters. They were all here, in this moment of triumph, and their victory over him was undeniable. The sight of his humiliation was broadcast across the galaxy, transmitted through the vast networks of the Tyrak Dominion's communication systems. In the farthest reaches of the Empire, the message was clear: a tyrant had fallen. For the first time, the citizens of the Tyrak Dominion began to question their once untouchable ruler. For generations, they had been taught to fear Veilthar, to view him as the pinnacle of power and the embodiment of their empire's might. But now, they saw him for what he truly was: a coward who had been bested by a species he had underestimated. His once glorious reign was crumbling before their eyes, and the very image of his capture sparked the first whispers of rebellion. In the alien worlds that made up the Tyrak Dominion, the oppression of countless species had always been a grim reality. Under Veilthar's rule, dissent was crushed with violence, and any sign of resistance was swiftly extinguished. But with the sight of Veilthar's downfall, hope began to stir. Across the galaxy, oppressed alien species watched the broadcast, their hearts swelling with the realization that even the most powerful tyrants could be defeated. Rebellion started to emerge in pockets of the Dominion. First, in small, oppressed colonies, where the alien populace, emboldened by the human victory, rose up against their Tyrak overlords. It was a ripple that grew into a wave. The alien factions that had once been loyal to Veilthar now saw him as a symbol of oppression, and their desire for freedom eclipsed their fear of retaliation. Across the Dominion, uprisings spread, and the once mighty empire began to fracture. The Tyrak forces, spread thin from years of constant warfare and now facing insurrection from within, struggled to maintain control. Veilthar, in his final moments of power, realized the truth. The empire he had built on fear and domination was collapsing from the inside. His own subjects, those he had ruled with an iron fist, were turning against him, driven by the image of his humiliation and the hope that humanity had ignited. For humanity, This was more than just a military victory. Earth had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, a single species could stand up and change the course of history. The fall of Valethar marked the beginning of a new era, not just for Earth, but for the galaxy itself. As the Tyrak Dominion crumbled, Earth emerged as a symbol of hope, resilience, and the unyielding spirit of defiance. The people of Earth had shown the galaxy that tyranny, no matter how powerful, could be toppled. With Valethar's fall, Earth's leaders began to take on a new role. No longer an isolated planet on the edge of the galaxy, humanity had become a beacon of resistance and a force for peace. As the galaxy slowly began to rebuild from the ashes of war, Earth's reputation was forever changed. No longer seen as an insignificant species, humanity was now viewed as a symbol of strength, an example of what could be achieved when people fought for their freedom. The events of the war and Valethar's fall sparked a wave of cooperation across the galaxy. The once divided factions, brought together by their shared struggle against tyranny, began to unite, forming the foundations for a new, more just intergalactic order. Humanity's victory against the Tyrak Dominion marked the dawn of a new era. Earth had not only survived, but had proven that even the most powerful forces could be defeated by the will of a united people. And as the galaxy moved toward a future of cooperation and peace, humanity's legacy would live on, an enduring testament to the power of resistance and the enduring strength of the human spirit.